Welcome, folks. So I got a couple of questions about the unknown labs. I figured I'd go ahead and just make a quick video describing how the labs will work after we finish up Lab 10. So far in the class, we've had labs 1 through 10, which have very consistent units. They have their objectives, then they have some background information, a procedure, and then we collect our data, and then we conclude the whole lab with a set of study questions. Now that we're finishing up this week, Lab 10, and that's where I have us here in the lab manual right here. This is the end of Lab 10, and here's the study questions for Lab 10. Then we're going to transition to another set of labs that are also going to be similar in that we go through a stepwise process for a specific goal, but they're going to be a little bit different in that they're connected to one another in kind of one project, even though they're three different labs. So I wanted to talk about those. So here is the end of Lab 10, and here's the appendix, first appendix, which just has the list of names. Then Appendix B and Appendix C are where you're going to find the information that you need for the unknown labs. Appendix B you might already be familiar with. It's the possible unknown organisms and their expected characteristics appendix, where you go through all the different tests that we've done in this class, matched up to all of the different pet organisms or potential pet organisms that we have in the class. Now, these are also where we're going to get our unknown organisms from, this same list. And so I'm going to come back to this in a minute. But essentially what we're going to do is the last three labs of this class are in this Appendix C unknown bacterium identification project. And so what we're going to do is give you one of the organisms that are listed in that table, but without telling you which one it is, right? And so you'll just get a culture. The whole table will get one culture, and then each pair will work through all of the three labs as a pair, and then you can compare results if something doesn't work, okay? And so what you're going to do is use the techniques that you've learned throughout the class to go through stepwise and identify which organism you actually have, okay? And so for unknown lab 1, that's a microscopy lab. And so you're going to go through and do your 3 staining procedures: simple stain, gram stain, endospore stain on your microorganism. And then you'll go back to those tables that we have in Appendix B and start to narrow it down and say, okay, my organism, when I simple stain it, it has, this shape. Okay, when I gram stain it, it is either gram negative or gram positive. When I endospore stain it, it either has or hasn't endospores. And that'll allow you to start to narrow down which organism you might have. And then we'll continue through with unknown lab 2, which essentially is going to be inoculating the same media from lab 6, or MSA, MAC, fluid thioglycolate. And then unknown lab 3 will go through essentially the same media that we used in lab 8. So our gelatin agar, starch agar, phenol broths, for example. And so you'll go through, and what we'll do is in unknown lab 1, you'll do your microscopy and inoculate the media for unknown lab 2. And then the lab itself will take you through all of that. It will say, okay, let's collect our data from the stains, which you can see here, observations, which are usually some sort of sketch plus some information, and then conclusion is like actually what shape is the organism, what gram stain is the organism, and does it produce endospores, right? And then it'll go through and say, okay, well, you're going to do your inoculations for unknown lab 2. Let's also make some predictions for the MAC, MSA, PEA, and fluid thioglycolate, okay? And then when we come in for unknown lab 2, we're going to read off the media that we inoculated in unknown lab 1, and then we're going to inoculate for unknown lab 3. So you can see here, here's the media that we inoculated in unknown lab 1. We're going to go through, read, take our observations, make our conclusions, answer some questions, and then it'll say, okay, we'll make our predictions because we're going to be inoculating gelatin, starch, and the phenol broth. SIM is not on here, but we will have SIM available as an additional test if you'd like to do it, okay? And so we'll make our inoculations, and in the third unknown lab, we'll actually read off the gelatin, agar, and phenol broths, and SIM if you want to add it. And we'll also do a catalase test one of these 2 days. And so the manual, just like before, it'll take you through the steps of the procedure and the different tests that we'll be doing. But the difference is you're going to use those tables in Appendix B that go through all of the organisms and all of the expected results to slowly, day by day, narrow down which unknown organism you actually have. And then at the end, you'll come in and you'll check and say, okay, this is what I think it is. How am I doing? And absolutely, throughout the process, you can check in with me and say, okay, I have unknown number 1. Should I have gotten these results for my staining procedures? Should I have gotten these results for my MSA media or MAC media? And we can confirm those throughout the process. And then at the end, really it's about the process. So as long as you've gone through and interpreted your results and your media correctly, most folks will get the correct identification for their unknown organism. And if you don't, really the learning is in the process, okay? And so you'll go through, and the lab, just like the other labs, it'll guide you through by asking you different questions so that you can narrow down. And the end goal is to name one species so that that is your unknown organism. Okay, so I'm just going to outline kind of the steps for the unknown lab on the board so that you can kind of see the schedule. And hopefully that will be helpful for the folks that ask some questions about the unknown labs. Okay, I'm just going to transition my camera 1 second. Okay, so just as a recap of what we said, we have our 3 days. So we have our, for our unknown labs, we do it in 3 lab days, day 3. And then we have our unknown lab 1, unknown lab 2, and unknown lab 3, which you can find copies of the whole labs in your manual in Appendix C. So on the first day of our unknowns, we will do our simple stain procedure, our gram stain procedure, and our endospore stain procedure. Those are all the components of unknown lab 1. But we will also inoculate our unknown lab 2 media, which is going to be MSA, MAC, PEA, and thioglycolate. Okay, so this is just an inoculation. Okay, then when we come in on day 2, we're going to read the unknown lab 2 media, which we had inoculated on day 1. We're going to read those. So that's MSA, MAC, PEA, and thioglycolate. Okay, and we're going to inoculate the media for the unknown lab 3, which is going to be the gelatin, starch, phenol broths, and then optionally, you can also do SIM, which I would recommend. We'll have it out. Okay, and then on day 3, we'll come in and read these media that we had inoculated on day 2. So our gelatin, starch, phenol, and likely SIM media. And so over the course of the 3 days, we'll learn what's the shape and arrangement of our organism, what is its gram stain, and does it produce endospores? We'll learn about its, again, gram stain, halo tolerance, fermentation of different sugars, and its oxygen tolerance with all of our media from lab 6. And then we'll learn about some of the exoenzymes that it produces and some of its fermentation in the media that we inoculate for unknown lab 3, which is similar media to lab 8. And so over the course of the 3 days, you continue to gain more and more information, and you use the tables that are in Appendix B to eventually identify the exact species of your unknown organism over the 3 labs. And each of the labs will take you through those steps. You'll fill them out just like the labs that we have done previously. And once you complete the packet, that's what you'll actually submit. So unknown lab 1 will just take the 1 day, but then for unknown lab 2, we'll have to inoculate and then read. And then for unknown lab 3, we'll have to inoculate and then read over the course of the 3 days. And so that's what we're going to do for our 3 unknown labs that will follow lab 10, which will conclude kind of the first 10 labs of Microbiology 234. But then this project here will allow us to use that information that we've learned in all of those labs, 1 through 10, to kind of identify a specific unknown organism. So hopefully that answers the questions that y'all had, but please feel free to let me know if you have additional questions about the unknown labs. Okay, take care.